All right, folks, so these are some of the talks, what can happen in the future, and it is called surtax. Remember, once something is measurable, it is able to be taxed. So we'll get into the facts, how they're trying to apply this surtax, which basically means you have your annual tax on your property, then they can add the surtax. I'll just draw it on this little whiteboard, give you the perception what it could happen in different percentages. Also, the question that many are asking, well, what if I don't have any money? So what if I'm, let's say, retiring and they're trying to get into my equity? Or if I don't have any money to pay for this particular surtax? Well, they have figured this part out as well. And I'll show you some examples how the market looks today, like Richmond Hill, Markham, Mississauga, how this surtax can impact. But let's not forget, like all these homes that we're seeing that are $1 million and up currently in our Toronto GTA market, those homes, middle class people were buying that. Tradesmen, tool and die, that kind of category bought these particular homes that are worth now $1.5 to $2 million. So having said that, that surtax will impact folks if they voted, right? Like in the parliament, there's great talks about it, how they can add more tax revenue to Canada and all that stuff. And I'll tell you that percentage, what that looks like in billions, obviously. So before I dive deep into this, let me just dry this out. I have notes because I have to literally remember what's going on. I hope you can see what I'm trying to write. But basically, from $1 million to $1.5 million, additional tax will be 0.2%. And you might say, listen, it's not a big deal at all, right? Like it's 1.2%. And I'll give you an example of a home that is worth in that threshold, and we'll kind of calculate it together. But this is what it looks like. Now, we move further from 1.5 million to $2 million, and it's 0.5%, right? And then from 2 million to 2 million plus will be 1% additional tax. So if we're calculating this, this is not a big deal as mentioned before, but if you add it on current tax that people are having, it is crazy. So let's get into some examples. Like I have 27 Addison Street. This is in Richmond Hill. This particular home is listed for $2 million. We're going to round these numbers, right? But the tax on this particular property is $9,146 in 2026. Now, if we add, from 1 to 1.5, it's additional $1,000. And then we add from 1.5 to $2 million, it's an additional $2,500. And then we add the $9,146 plus $3,500. We get a sum of $12,646, which is crazy, right? So this is one example, but we have other examples, which I'll point out in a second, because people will say, hey, look, it's a $2 million home. Like these folks, they have money. They should be charged, penalized, however you want to say it, because they have a lot of it, and we should take a lot of it from them. But as if you remember from the beginning of the video, some of these folks bought these homes for $500,000-$600,000, and those folks were middle-class people. Now there's worth $2 million. Now the tax is off the hook. All right, let's move on. So this is in Markham, Unionville. This particular property is the taxes are at $10,042 in 2025. I don't know the exact number of 2026, but now we add $1,000 easily here, and then we add another $200,000, the difference here, which is going to be another $1,000 here. So altogether is going to be $12,042. So you see how this works, right? And now, as when I speak to people, they say, well, is it a big deal? Is it a not big deal? It's a few $100s here, it's a few $100s there. But this particular home that is listed for $1.7 million might have an addition of extra $2,000 added to their annual tax. And now the question goes, okay, so what if I'm retired? So if you're retired, you can defer this particular payment, the surtax payment. That's what they're talking about. And what that means is like, you can say, well, I have no money to pay it, and they'll defer it, obviously with interest, I'm assuming at this point, and it will be added on lien. So whenever this home eventually gets transferred, gets sold, gets whatever happens with it, first the government obviously will be paid the taxes first, and then the bank, and then the rest, right? So it kind of like, okay, so now you're touching into the equity. If I'm unable to do something, you're basically going to take it away. But they say, look, we're not trying to take your equity. We're just trying to help. And I'll get to it in a second, what they're trying to do and how much money is in the pot. But let's move on to the next property. The next property is a little bit cheaper, right? Because people ask me, hey, can you do it on a cheaper property? And this property is valued at $1.15 million. So only the difference is $150,000, which is going to be an additional $300. So the taxes on this property is $7,785. So we add $300 is going to be $8,085. All right. Now, to begin with, the $7,785 to begin with, and this is an average house in Mississauga today. It's nothing special. It was entry level at one point a decade ago, a decade and a half ago. This was entry point. People would jump from a small condo if they had a little bit more money into this type of home. Now, is it worth it? Like, $7,785 for taxes. You can comment below, and then comment below what do you basically think of this surtax if it gets implemented, right? And the way it looks like, there's a couple of $1 billion on the line here, so it might happen in the near future. When, what, and why, I don't know, but it might happen, right? So we know one thing, wherever there's money involved, it might happen. And remember, if it's measurable, it's able to be taxed. Now, this next property is in Mississauga, Lakeview. Most of you that know, it's south of Mississauga, close to Port Credit, is awesome, right? Check this out. This property on Orchard Road, taxes are $19,800. This property has been listed currently for $3 million. So the first question is this property really, really, truly valued at $3 million? That's the first question. The second question, the taxes are valued at nearly $20,000 annually. But now if this surtax gets implemented, now there is a different story. So first we get to the first bracket, $1,000 max, $2,500 max, and the difference from $2 million to $3 million would be $10,000. Now we add another, what is this, $13,500, and this is $33,300, ladies and gentlemen, for this particular home. Now the question is, who can afford all of this? This is insane. This will be like $3,500 a month just for taxes. And hold on a second. Reality check, it's almost close to $2,000 a month for taxes today. So the question is, where's this market heading? I think there's like the crash or the clash is just the cash flow. Who can afford all of this? And in my next video, I want to discuss this exact matter of who is the next buyer, what does it look like, how much money do they make, what, like, do we even have this kind of caliber of middle class to support this property? And at this point, this is a high-end property, even though it's not in an ultra high-end area, and it looks nice, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing extravagant. It's not a castle. Guys, this is a $3 million home, almost a cookie cutter. It's a custom home. I'm not bashing it or anything like that. But come on, $3 million bucks? It's insane. So how much money is on the line? So this is the question. So we will erase this for a second here. I have my little note. Let me just tell you how much money is on the line. All right, so for $1 to $1.5 million, it's 5.5% of households in Canada. From 1.5 million to 2 million in Canada is 1.8%. And then we have 2 million plus we have 1.6% of households, which is 8.9%. Having said that, what does this translate in an average price of these homes? It's $4.54 billion. That's it. So they have to find this, $4.5 billion somewhere, apparently to help our housing and our growth. So I have no idea if this even makes sense whatsoever, because it seems like, from my perspective and my opinion only, that it's already pushed to the ceiling or to the boiling point where people just don't have these funds to afford all of these taxes and mortgages and homes and insurances and all of that stuff. I might be living under a rock, but you tell me. So please comment below, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.